Hickok 45 here. Welcome to the Hickok 45 Talks channel, where guess what? I talk a lot, but on one topic. But never let it be said that I can't spend 30 minutes on one topic. I try not to do that. Yeah, homework. Wow, what a boring topic. And some of you wonder, what in the world's that about? Well, I think everybody probably watching has been a victim or a product of homework, unless somehow you avoided school, right? Or maybe you were homeschooled and you didn't call it homework because you're always home. I don't know. But I was hearing some people discuss it the other day. I was riding in my car on a radio station, and they were going back and forth about it, and I got some definite opinions on that. I've changed my opinions on it over the years, and my thinking on that to some extent. So all of you almost have been in school, or you have kids who are in school, and homework or no homework, all that can be an issue. Now, you might have, gone to a school where there was virtually no homework, and maybe your kids are in a school where homework is very rarely assigned or it's not a big issue, but probably not many of you, right? So I have a variety of experiences. I came up in a public school system in northern Kentucky. Private schools were not as much a thing, except for the parochial or the Catholic schools. They're sort of private, but partly private or something. I'm not sure how that works, but when I came to Tennessee, wow, there were private schools all over the place, and the long-established private schools. The first one I taught in was established in 1889, in fact, out in Franklin, Tennessee, Battle Ground Academy and whatnot. But anyway, and they were, both of the schools where I taught were college prep. So there was some pretty heavy homework. Okay, it was a pretty serious curriculum in both of the schools where I taught, and throughout my career in the 70s and again in the 90s and 2010 up to 2013. And it was always an issue about homework, how much to assign, how much to hold students accountable for, and all that kind of thing. And I started out my teaching, again, maybe I was a little bit of a hypocrite, because when I was in school, I had homework, back in the 50s and 60s. It wasn't all that, it seemed extensive to me, but if I had really gotten at it for, an hour, I could have probably knocked it all out and done an excellent job on it. It was kind of that level, maybe, for the most part, sometimes longer. But in teaching in these college prep schools, there was a lot of homework, and a lot of, an extensive curriculum. So didn't think too much about it. It was just tough getting through school, and the students that went to the school in Franklin where I taught, they had no trouble getting into college, by and large, and excelled in college. And the same for the second school I taught at in Nashville, from 1990 to 2013, because they were well prepared. They had to work hard. Their parents paid a lot of money for them to go there. They expected homework. Okay, but that being said, I can see both sides of it. Share what you think about it. I started out when I came back to teaching in 1990. I'd been away for 10, 11 years, and I just kind of picked up where I left off. Man, this is a serious business. Yeah, you got to know this, that, and that tomorrow, and this and that. And I was pretty picky and pretty strict about what they did in class and out of class. It was college prep, after all. And I began to realize after a few years, I was a little strict maybe on some of that, and I got a little bit more targeted with what I wanted them to work on outside of class. I wanted to make sure it was productive, and they weren't wasting time or not wasting time, but spending time where it could have been spent more wisely elsewhere, and that kind of thing, for the long haul, for the big picture and everything. And because they had a lot of work, They go from from Latin and math and social studies, various classes, and they were all serious college prep classes and coursework, and so they had a pretty hard day. Then they would have sports practice, most of them, or choir or something, and band, whatever, and then they would go home and eat and start a new day of work, right? Working through all those assignments. And I know sometimes they might have an hour in each class worth of homework. And occasionally we have parents complain both ways. Sometimes they complain about too much homework, and then sometimes not enough. They're paying a lot of money for this college prep education, and all that kind of thing. And so if little Johnny came home, or Mary Lou, and, well, I don't have any homework, or I don't have much to do, or whatever, well, that would also create a bit of an issue. And, they'd be calling up the school and wanting to know what's going on, where they, I don't know, maybe they just wanted the kids out of their hair, I don't know what it was, but sometimes. And the longer I taught, maybe it's because I just mellowed out a little bit, and I had my own son, whom you've seen right here, right? And I saw the work he was having to do when he got home, and it was pretty extensive, a lot to do, and so it came home to me when there would be things going on that we needed to do, wanted to do, and couldn't really spend time with him because he had so much work to do. And of course, like most kids, boys, whatever, piddle around, and what maybe should have taken 30 minutes or an hour, you end up being all night, all night, evening long or something, but you got that factor too. But so I got to seeing it from a different perspective. It's easy if you don't have kids, and you can be a tyrant and expect them to stay up to midnight every night doing homework, just make them tough, get them prepared, and all that, but when they're coming home to your house and they're your offspring, and there are things going on, they've got a ball game, or they've got something, maybe there's something worthwhile on TV you want to watch together, something important, or somewhere to go that's important that evening, whatever it might be, and you just can't do it. Maybe just something simple as I don't know, family was invited out to eat or something, or some kind of event, banquet, or whatever. No, can't do it. Too much work to do, So anyway, and that began to reshape my mind, and it was over a period of time, and in hearing parents complaining more and more, because everybody's talking back in the early 2000s, whatever. Everybody's life has gotten so busy and so much going on. And I'd hear from more and more parents, and we as a school, we'd hear from more and more parents complaining about too much homework. You still had the few that wondered if there was enough. They were usually the parents of that, that child that brilliant or whatever, and has everything done in no time or whatever, but they didn't feel maybe were challenged enough or something because they were a genius level kid, but just a lot more complaints about the work. And then there were a lot of people who went to church where I was teaching on Wednesday nights, and it was conflicting with that, and conflicting with their sports. They're playing sports, and some of them would be out after school off for several hours. They're traveling to an away game, soccer, or volleyball or basketball, get in and eat, and it's time to really be in bed. They should be in bed, and they've got 3-4 hours of homework. But anyway, after a while, I really got more targeted, and it wasn't because of pressure, really, although we would talk about it in faculty meetings, about how, be careful now, and I think we got down to where you wanted to make really certain you had no more than 20 to 30 minutes or 30 minutes of homework, and this is middle school, in your course at night, and try to be realistic about that, because some kids are going to take an hour, they're just slower at work, even if they're focused on it. And I really did adapt, and I went to a lot of the kids' ball games, and that helped paint the picture for me as well. I would leave school, and I had work to do, papers to grade and some things to get ready, and I needed to be home. But I just wanted to go to as many of their sporting events as I could. And I would drive off to somewhere down the south of Nashville to see the girls play a volleyball game, or the guys play a basketball game, or to a football game, middle school football game. And I would be down there, and I would really enjoy it. And the kids loved it when their teachers were there. I remember playing myself. It just means a lot. You see your teacher in the stands or standing over there. And so I knew how important that was to them. And hey, that's why I'm there, to try to help the kids. And if I'm not, why am I there? And to do something for them. And I enjoyed it. Going to those games, but I would get back and I would see them at this game, and I thought, wow, it's 6:37, and by the time they get home, same with me, it's going to be late, and I'd be thinking about what I assigned and the other assignments I know they had in math, social studies, and just everything, and so I really did make sure it was targeted. And I didn't just assign a bunch of reading. I would it would just be, I tried to go for quality. Whatever they were doing, try to go for, maybe it's just read 3 or 4, 5 pages, whatever, in this novel, finish this chapter. And we do a lot of that in class. So I got to where we did a lot more of it in class, even reading through the novels. And I found it way more effective, especially middle school, because we would just read through it together. I let them read, and we'd stop, and is this line, and what's this mean, and why did he say that, why did she write that, and it's different. It was actually better teaching by doing more of it in class. And it was a case where maybe we didn't get as many novels or as many things read, but a lot of times less is more. I focused on going a little deeper rather than just more in a shallow way, I think. But anyway, so homework I'm talking about, right? So I changed my view on that a great deal. And if you've not taught, I know it's really easy to take a cavalier attitude about that, if you have taught, or if you're not a parent, whatever your situation is. If you're not in the trenches with that, you don't have kids coming home every day, and they can't be talking to you hardly. They got to eat and run upstairs or into their room and get at it. You don't see your kids maybe until the weekend, and you're someone who actually likes your kids, like I was with John. He may not think so, but when to spend time with him, and not just doing homework, and you really lose out on a lot of hours in a week, to that. So basically there's two sides to it, I guess I'm saying. So whenever you hear people complaining about it or talking about it or the issue, whichever side you come down on, at least know there really is another side to that, And I tend to now, after all my experience, 29 years of teaching, and then, oh man, all those years being a student. Took most of you all maybe 12, 13 years to get through school. Took me 29 years, 35 years, 40 years to get through school. I flunked a 3rd grade 18 times now. So I have a lot of experience with homework, both doing it and assigning it, and being on the inside and seeing all that. And so for me, I began to take the attitude, really my last years of teaching, and this was based on my own son and seeing those kids, those sweet kids, just inundated with work, and a lot of them took it so seriously. They were really like little Harvard students, even in middle school. They would work all week long, every waking hour, and whatever their assignments were, and then on the weekend too. So I began to develop the philosophy that I can see both sides of it, but I could easily fall in that camp where I say, look, you take my child, you got them from whatever 7 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon or later. If they're playing sports for your school, you might have them from 7 to 7. You might have them from 7:30 in the morning to 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 at night. They're with you. They're at the school, involved in school activities, academic, athletic, and whatever else. You work their butts off while you got them. But when you send them home, they're mine. They're not going straight to the books and spend 2 or 3 more hours doing your work that you've assigned. I can take that attitude pretty easily. I really could. Really could. So, but as I said, there's 2 sides to every story. What do you think? I'm really curious. I've been away from it so long. What's your experience with your kids, or are you a high school senior or something, or a junior? What do you think about it? I do hear from a lot of you who are still in school, and especially those who have been watching the videos. This is so common now at the meet and greets. I bet there were 10 different young men, a couple of women too, but men mainly in their 20s or 30s. And I've been watching you since I was at 12, I was 12, or I was in 7th grade or whatever. But what do you think? What's your opinion on that? And try to be objective about it. And if you are a parent, you've had kids go through school at all and all that, your opinion is more valid, more credible, really. Sorry, more so than if you've never had kids. But anyway, what do you think, whether you've had kids or not? I really can take that attitude. Yeah, homework in very small amounts, or not at all. You got them all day. You got them for a long day. Work their butts off. Discipline them. Cut out some of the fluff during the day. Have some break time, but you got them all day. Teach them what you expect them to learn during those 8, 10, 12 hours, and then give them back to us parents. Anyway, that's a side I could take. What do you think? Life is good.